One of the biggest fears for most people around the world is standing up and speaking in front of other people, isn't it? And having worked with thousands of people now and helped them with their anxiety of speaking in front of other people, I've realized that one of the main things that people worry about is going blank. And one of the main questions I get is, well, what do I do if I totally forget what I'm going to say and I end up just looking stupid in front of everyone? That's what a lot of people worry about. So in this video, we're going to look at the best way to deal with this. There's strategies that you can use in the moment. We'll come back to those. But what's the best approach so that this doesn't happen to you? And if it does, you know what to do with it. Well, in order to get to that, we need to really understand why the problem occurs in the first place. Because when it comes to speaking, common sense speaking tells most people there's two strategies. One is leave it to the last minute and then try and wing it. Just, try and stand up, maybe speak from the heart in front of people. And that's a huge gamble. I think it's a terrible strategy, personally. It doesn't work. Even people like Les Brown, John Maxwell, some of the best speakers in the world, they could easily wing it, but they never do if it's important because they know they're not at their best when they do that. So this is a huge gamble, may work every now and again, but overall it's a negative expectation bet. It's not the approach that I'd recommend at all. The other strategy that people use is they want to memorize their speech. They'll maybe script it out, then memorize it to the best of their ability and then recite it. This is really, really fragile as well. It doesn't work for most people because let's say you're doing a 3-minute speech and you're an average speaker, you speak maybe 500 words in 3 minutes. And if you're going to try and recite this speech that you've learned, then you know one way to go from the beginning to the end, one way through. And that's very, very precarious. 1 foot wrong, and then you end up like, what's the next word? What's the next word? And then you're like, oh, can I start again? Can I start again? Can I have a do-over? That doesn't work. Both winging it and memorizing leave you very, very vulnerable to forgetting what you're going to do in that moment because you're always trying to remember your speech. And trying to remember your speech means that you're relying on your willpower. And that's the wrong tool for the job, if you like. Willpower doesn't work anywhere near as well as you think it would. In that particular situation. I studied hypnosis for a number of years in England at the excellent London College of Clinical Hypnosis. And I remember in one of the lectures, Anna Zarabian, she was a doctor, she did a lot of work with the National Health Service in the UK. And she said, who has a strong willpower? Who has, good willpower? And like, I put my hand up. She says, you have strong will? I said, yeah, I got, I'm pretty determined. I've got good willpower. And she says, show me this willpower then. Will yourself to sweat. What? Will yourself to sweat. Show me your will yourself to sweat. And instantly we all got it. You can't will yourself to sweat, can you? It's not governed by the conscious mind. It's a subconscious process. It happens on its own, if you like. The body does it. And in fact, if you're nervous of speaking at all, you may find that it happens when you don't want it to. And you can't take your jacket off or you can't put your arms up in the air because you're sweating profusely. It happens to me. I'm a sweater, and I know many other people are too. So sweating is not something that we can willpower. And the same thing, trying to remember the words to our speech is the same thing. It doesn't work that way. I know you've all experienced this because you've all had somebody's name on the tip of your tongue at some point, and you're trying to remember it. Like, what was his name? The singer. I can see him. And the more you try, the more it kind of slips away, doesn't it? And what do you have to do? Everyone knows this. You have to think about something else. They're saying, stop trying. Just think about something else and it'll come back. And then when you're not expecting it, Justin Bieber. That was it. Justin Bieber. Oh, I got it. I remember. So where did that come from? If it's not you consciously doing it, that unconscious search takes place outside of conscious awareness, doesn't it? So it's not you doing it. It's your subconscious doing it. And the more you try, it gets in the way. It's called the law of reversed effect. The law of reversed effect. And in that moment, when you're trying to remember the words, you become more and more stressed. Now you feel like the threat response come, and actually this can lead to, a full-on fight or flight response in your body. And this gets in your way even more because your body changes, your physiology changes when you feel stressed, when you feel threatened. And so the stress hormones, the cortisol and adrenaline, released into the bloodstream. And then all of these changes, it's amazing actually because your body is mobilizing to deal with the threat. The trouble is, standing up and speaking in front of people is not a life-threatening situation. So you can see some of the changes that happen. This list here is not exhaustive, but some of the things that happen. But one of them, Dr. Bruce Lipton explained to me when I interviewed him a couple of years back, and he said, one of the things for speaking is that you use your forebrain for thinking, but there's not enough blood for all of your bodily resources. That's why, the blood is the resources are preferentially moved to deal with the threat. And your body thinks the best thing that it can do is shut down thinking and move the blood to the hindbrain so you can engage in reflexive actions and behaviors so that you can deal with the threat. So actually your ability to think is diminished in this situation. So the more you worry about forgetting, maybe you don't even forget the words, but you worry that you might forget, you increase the stress, you lose your ability to think. And then even though you know it, you don't seem to be able to lay your hands on those words, as it were. We all know this is exam stress, don't we? Exam stress. You know it, and the more you get frustrated about trying to remember it, the worse it gets. So what do we do about this then? Well, without a doubt, the best thing you can do for any kind of anxiety when you're speaking is be properly prepared. Richard Klein said, confidence is preparation. Everything else is beyond your control. The more you prepare, the better able you are to deal with any situation that may arise. And everything else is beyond your control other than the preparation anyway, isn't it? So you might as well focus on that. But the trouble with speaking is most people prepare in the wrong way. Over 400 years ago, Musashi said, you can only fight the way you practice. You can only fight the way you practice. That makes sense, doesn't it? You can only fight the way you practice. Well, so if you're gonna fight, don't practice playing soccer. That's not a good, it's irrelevant practice. It's not a good practice for fight. Maybe you get a little bit fitter, but they're two different things. Well, if you're gonna speak standing up in front of other people and words are gonna come out of your mouth, don't spend all your time preparing on paper. That's irrelevant practice. It may help you a little bit, but it's nowhere near the best thing you can do. The best thing you can do is to practice out loud, to actually say the words like you're going to say them. You can only fight the way you practice, the way you train. So practice out loud. Your preparation should be out loud for the vast majority of the time. Jot down some bullet points and start experimenting. You can do it like this in front of a mirror. You can do it when you're walking the dog. You can do it into your iPhone. You can do it into your smartphone. You can do it to a video recorder. You can do it when you're sitting on the loo, the treadmill, how in the car when you're driving, whatever opportunity you have to practice. Practice out loud and discover the best way to share the message that you want to share. You can experiment and it should be fun, and don't worry about making mistakes. You're going to try things that don't work. That's okay. You're probably going to try a lot of things that don't work. Do that in training when no one's watching. Don't try and wing it at the last minute and then do it when everyone's watching in front of the audience. Make all the mistakes in training. Find your way back to your story, back to your speech, back to the message that you want to share, and discover lots of ways of doing that. And make it fun. It should be fun. It should be a fun process. Have fun failing. Have fun trying using your voice and using your vocabulary and using your body in different ways. Find out what works for you. You'll discover lots of different ways of sharing your story, and that will lead to you being bulletproof in the delivery the more you do that. So that's the best way, I think, for you to avoid that horrible moment of going blank and like, what's the next word? Because you just find another way. You know the key points that you're trying to cover. You know some of your best bits along the way, and you'll just use another route if you practice that way and experiment that way. The other big advantage of this is you're your best you when you're not stressed about what you're going to say. When you're thinking about what you're going to say, you're trying to remember, your personality goes out the window, so the audience can't relate to you at all because it's like you're this officious robot or something. You forget to be kind, you forget to be nice, you forget to be yourself, you forget to be interesting. That's no good. So when you're able to be yourself at your best, then you're more relatable and people will like you. You're much more authentic because you're not stressed, you're not worried about what you're going to say, and your personality isn't being kept a secret. The audience will feel like they're getting to know you. Then when they get to know you, they can like you. And then when they know and like you, then they can trust you. And that's the foundation for all influence. So forget memorizing and forget winging it. Experiment with it. Have fun with it. Try lots of different ways to get there. And you'll find that it works much, much better. I promise. Just try it and see. If you want more videos on fear, or if you've overcome your fear of speaking is something you want to deal with, you might want to check out this video because I think you'll find there's lots of great tips and tricks there for you. That's it. Thanks, guys. Take care. Lots of love. Bye-bye. God bless.